Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for attending our webinar this afternoon on unlocking the power of smart facilities, co-hosted by the Milvian Group and Amazon Web Services. My name is Scott Shader. I'm the Vice President for Marketing, and I'm going to be your host for today's event.
Scott, looks like you've muted yourself, bud.
Well, thank you very much. Sorry about that. So again, my name is Scott Shader. I'm the Vice President for Marketing here at the Milvian Group. I'd like to welcome everybody to our webinar today. And our agenda for this afternoon is going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about our product. We're going to give you an opening remark or two from our CEO and from our AWS leadership who are here on our call today. We're going to go over our company and talk a little bit about the Milvian Group and AWS and some of their offerings. And then we're going to jump into a demo of our product and talk a little bit about our offering, Aqueduct. We'll have Q&A available a little later on here. And during the Q&A, you can ask questions, of course. You can do it one of two ways. You can actually raise your hand and I'll pick on you and you can open your mic and ask a question. Or if you prefer to use the chat, you're welcome to use the chat at that time. And then we'll conclude with some closing remarks. So our welcome and introductions. So who we have on our call today is we have Kishore, our CEO. We have Abby from AWS. They're going to be giving you a quick introduction here in 1 minute and a welcome. We have Myron, who's going to be talking about our Milvian Group, our company as a whole, a little overview of what we do. Sushma is going to talk more in detail about AWS and their offering. And Quay is going to talk a little bit about our Aqueduct product offering and give you a live demo of the product. So we also have on our webinar today, we have several other leaders. We have our Vice President for Sales, James. We have Brandon, and we have Dan Lee. So opening remarks, Kishore, would you like to start us off with your welcome, and then Abby will follow?
Sure. Hey, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Kishore Potru, CEO of Milvian, and it's a privilege to co-host this conversation on the future of smart facilities with our partners at AWS, Abby and Sushma. During a recent customer discussion, I was asked, Kishore, what does a truly smart facility look like in practice? And I said, it's a facility that understands what's happening in it and adjusts before something becomes a problem. To me, that is the heart of smart facilities. Systems that anticipate needs and optimize performance and reduce the manual firefighting that teams deal with every day. Our partnership with AWS is built on that vision, creating intelligent, resilient facilities that deliver real ROI through reduced utility span, proactive maintenance, and healthier indoor environments. And we are doing it while helping organizations meet their sustainability goals in practical, measurable ways. And at the core is a shift from scattered tools to a single pane of glass experience. Instead of juggling multiple systems and spreadsheets, teams can finally see everything: meters, sensors, controls, predictions, dashboards, and alerts in one unified platform on AWS with built-in AI capabilities. It's simplified, secure, automated, and ready to scale across entire portfolios. Milvian and AWS together are enabling facilities to become smarter, more resilient, and more cost efficient. not as a future concept, but as something organizations can adopt today. And thank you for being here. I welcome to this session. Scott,
Abby?
back to you.
Thanks, Kishore. Hey everyone, I'm Abby Glova. I'm the Partner Development Manager here at AWS for Milvian Group. Super excited to have you all join today. Yeah, our partnership with Milvian shows really exactly kind of the art of the possible when combining IoT and Gen AI on AWS. As an advanced tier partner, Milvian has built Aqueduct using AWS AIML services to solve facility management challenges, from energy optimization to predictive maintenance. So I think what really stands out is how they're helping SMBs and mid-market customers, particularly in those manufacturing and industrial sectors. So as their PDM, my role here is really just to help accelerate Milvian's growth on AWS, and that obviously translates to reaching customers like you all. So anything from technical enablement, co-selling with our field teams, and making sure they have the right investment programs in front of them to help their customers. So we're super invested in scaling their solution just to reach more of you every day. Later this year, we'll be launching on AWS Marketplace, so that's super exciting. But yeah, thanks everyone for being here today. I'm always happy to support our partners here. And I'll hand it back to Scott so we can dig into some of the technical aspects of this platform.
Sounds great. Thank you, Abby. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into our AWS and Milvian Group Partner Spotlight. And first up will be Myron, who's going to talk a little bit about the Milvian Group, our company. Myron?
Myron, you're muted.
Sorry about Abby and Sushma for hosting this event and working with us so closely on our product and all of our customer engagements. We really appreciate that. So I'll talk about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, and the results. So who we are AWS experts with deep expertise in facility management, IoT, AI, and ML. And before I talk about what we do and how we do it, I'd really like to call out the results. In a very short time, we've deployed in 150 sites in 9 countries. So that includes Australia, France, Germany, India, Italy, Poland, Spain, the US, and the UK. And for 2026, the next 12 months, we have line of sight to 400 additional sites in the countries of Egypt, South Africa, Brazil, Mexico, Ireland, the Czech Republic, and Romania. So those are outstanding results. We can't be thankful enough or excited enough about our results. So how did we do this? Or what did we do to do this? So we have products and services. So we have Aqueduct that Clay will do a great demo on here in a few minutes, focusing on the monitoring side of things. But it is a SaaS platform that provides real-time insights for predictions and smart building optimizations. In addition to that, we have a hardware as a service where we do global surveys of facilities, and then we'll do installs and deployments of the actual hardware that goes in the building. And the hardware includes the gateways, the sensors, as well as controls. And with these 2 high-level components, the SaaS platform and the hardware as a service, that provides us with a unified platform and service for integrating water metering, electricity metering, gas metering, occupancy, air quality, equipment health, and controls. So that's what we do. So how do we do it? We are a highly collaborative organization. We have recently opened up an office in the UK. We've had an office in India for some time. And early next year, we will have an office set up in the EU. So we are expanding globally. We're going beyond just the US in terms of employees, and we will continue that expansion. We also work with installation partners and distributors to magnify Milvian's capacity. So installers, we have for the installations, we have partners on a global scale because there's no way we could do this with just Milvian employees at all these 150 sites in the last year. So we have installation partners that help us do that on a global scale. We also have distributors that give us access to different regions, and they also help us navigate the country-specific regulatory issues. If you go into Egypt, it's very complex. If you go into Brazil, it's also very complex. Mexico, these are very complex regulatory issues that we have to overcome to get into these countries, and the distributors are key to doing that. So we are very collaborative with both the installers and our distributors. And look at the results. We have deployments in 150 sites in 9 countries. And how did we do this? We did it because of who we are, what we do, and how we are doing it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Myron. Okay, now we're going to go over to Sushma, who's going to talk a little bit about AWS. Sushma?
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Thank you all for joining. I'm so excited to be part of this webinar today. I would like to provide or start with some of the challenges we hear the most in smart facility environments, right? So maybe some of you who have joined us today are able to resonate some of the challenges that I'm going to discuss with you all today. So let's imagine you're walking through a smart facility where every machine and process impacts both productivity and, say, sustainability as well. Yet there are many teams still struggling to spot inefficiencies in their own equipments. There's a lot of energy that's getting wasted, assets wear out faster, and opportunities to reduce emissions are also missed just because there is lack of visibility in real time. And the next challenge you see is the most important aspect is like data, right? So there's data everywhere, but it's fragmented, siloed. Leaders want to make smarter, greener decisions, but without connected, digitized data, it's kind of like hard. And that's one of the challenges we see with data. And even if you think about Gen AI, it's always challenges with data that we see, right? So it's the same, pretty much same, even with smart facility systems as well. And also many are excited about generative AI, agents and automation to optimize energy, reduce waste, and also like improve operations. But very first thing we need is a secure, reliable device to cloud pipeline. And lastly, for those working in harsh or remote environments, keeping systems efficient and sustainable also becomes even much a bigger challenge. So these are some of the realities that show why having a smart, connected, and sustainable facilities matter more than ever today. Next slide, Scott. What if we think about some of the challenges we have with connected device platforms, say, whether be it like legacy systems or existing systems you may already have, and few core challenges that come up again and again are following. So teams are under constant pressure to manage IoT costs while still delivering value quickly. Customers expect constant innovation, including Gen AI features and building agentic solutions today. And then on top of everything, we have to keep security in mind. And again, security is job zero. And as fleets grow and more data sets moving around across the edge and cloud, security becomes really, really very important. And we also see challenges with the technology changes as well. So every day there's like a new boom, right? So whatever we have today could become obsolete or could become a legacy tomorrow. So platforms keep reviving, they keep retiring. There are issues with like vendor limitations, and there could also be like rapid shift towards AI and agents. And finally, organizations need the ability to also scale from thousands to millions of devices, right? So scalability also becomes a very, very important aspect as well, while we also need to make sure we keep this fleet management very simple and reliable as well. Next slide, Scott. So what does AWS offer to address some of these challenges? So AWS provides the most secure, scalable, cost-efficient services that accelerates innovation and also makes device management much easier. So this global footprint allows organizations to run your IoT workloads at scale, similar to what Milvian is doing today, right? So you saw they had a global footprint. And close to where data is, you're able to run those workloads and expand from pilot projects to global fleets without even re-architecting. It ensures the reliability, resiliency, and low latency connectivity that modern smart facilities actually need, and also the connected devices demands are being met. Next slide. AWS also offers a wide portfolio of IoT services that helps to basically streamline, enhance, and design modern smart facility solutions. So in a bit, we will also explore how Milvian Group is making use of these IoT services to create smart facility system for our own customers. So customers basically get access to a broad and deeper set of offerings, as you see here, right from device connectivity to data analytics to AI, all designed to work together seamlessly. We also have IoT services that provide a comprehensive platform to help you connect, manage, and analyze data from billions of IoT devices. And again, the scalability factor too, enabling you to build smart applications in homes, factories, cities through core services like AWS IoT Core for device connectivity, or it could be IoT Greengrass for edge computing, FleetWise for vehicle data, or it could be SiteWise for industrial data, and Device Defender for security as well. And again, security is built in from the cloud to the edge so that organizations can trust that the devices and data is protected as data is moving around between edge, and it's protected at every single step. And again, as you can see here, we are having an integrated tooling approach where teams can manage, collect, scale, and analyze the data as they need without having to stitch together like multiple platforms. Everything is in like one place, which makes innovation too much easier for customers. Next slide. So what are some of the benefits of having an AWS-powered, I would say, modernized IoT platform, right? So first, it provides long-term stability. Customers know that IoT workloads will be supported and continually improved over the full device lifecycle. Second, AWS delivers easy ways to scale and fleet management as well. Whether deploying in a single region or across the world, customers can grow from hundreds to millions of devices without re-architecting. It also helps to reduce costs regionally or globally, and security is strengthened through AWS's investment in device and cloud protections. And finally, most important is keeping up with the pace of innovation and also the agility, right? So you can focus on innovation, especially new generative AI features and building agentic systems, instead of worrying about maintaining your infrastructure. Next slide, Scott. And you don't have to get overwhelmed at all. I would say AWS and its partners like Milvian are here to help you and remove the complexity factor or remove any blockers that you might have while building your smart facility solutions by providing you with services and solutions that make it very easy for you to manage, collect, scale, analyze, and act upon the data that is associated with the smart facility systems, where you can help to drive the sustainability aspect and also drive efficiencies across processes. So feel free to engage with us anytime, and that's all from my side.
Thank you, Sushma. Okay, so we're going to jump over into our demos, and we're going to start out with Quay's going to give a little talk about our features, hardware offering, and our market differentiators. So Quay.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I'll say a few words about, I think, kind of just end to end what Aqueduct does for us. And so on the hardware side, the big thing that I want to get across is how uniquely positioned we are. Myron mentioned that we've done in a short time in our current form many sites across the globe, but our team collectively actually has over 50 years of senior IoT experience and has been involved in thousands of installations globally. We're not learning from this as we go. We've done this many times at scale, deploying hundreds of sites in parallel. That's something we're comfortable with. There are few, if any, teams with our experience. What makes us different is that we handle the entire life cycle ourselves. We spec the right devices, we do the site surveys, we figure out exactly what should go where. And, excuse me, then we actually get everything deployed and commissioned properly. The goal is to always get it right the first time, as much as we can anyway, so that our Aqueduct product has a rock solid foundation to run on. The software is only as strong as the signals feeding into it, so this hardware side matters a lot. And the really important differentiator here is that we're hardware agnostic. A lot of competitors are locked into a single vendor or a limited device ecosystem. We're not. We can go find the best device anywhere in the world, vet it, test it, and make sure it actually performs the way that we need it to. That flexibility is a huge competitive advantage because it means that our customers always get the right hardware for the job. not limited to whatever a vendor happens to sell. On top of that, we have direct relationships with the top hardware vendors across metering, air quality, manufacturing, air environmental sensing. That tightens the loop even further on quality and reliability. And because we have actual Milvian locations in North America, Europe, Asia, we can configure and ship hardware regionally, which speeds everything up and lowers that friction. We've deployed systems all over the world, so global scale is something we're already set up for. At the end of the day, we pair cutting edge software with a hardware team that already knows how to do this right at scale anywhere, and with flexibility to use whatever hardware fits best for the situation. And the great thing is that Aqueduct is built on top of AWS's IoT stack, making it really easy for us to bring new devices into the ecosystem whenever we need to. That's the true end-to-end solution. Hardware, cloud, and Aqueduct all working together. And Scott, if you want to hop over to the software slide, next one here. Awesome. So yeah, on the software side, Aqueduct is really where all this turns into value. The hardware is important, but this is the layer that actually tells us what's happening and what to do about it. At the high level, Aqueduct is taking real-time data from all these meters and sensors and turning it into actionable signals, not just charts. We can do sub-metering at the equipment level to spot problems before they become failures, things like a chiller, a pump, an air handler that starts drifting out of normal pattern. Instead of waiting for something to break or for someone to complain, we can flag it early and get it fixed. On the utility side, we're continuously tracking electricity, gas, water. As a simple example is water leaks, something we'll take a look at here in a minute. Even if you're only instrumenting the main meter, as long as you've got good sensing hardware in place, we can spec and validate. Aqueduct can pick up patterns that you wouldn't otherwise see. A classic case is a toilet that's quietly running and refilling when it shouldn't. That can waste thousands of gallons a day. Most people will never notice it. We can see that anomaly very quickly, alert on it, and eliminate that waste. All of this works because the hardware and software are tightly integrated. Aqueduct takes clean, reliable signals from the devices we deploy and processes them in real time using the AWS tools under the hood. That gives us responsiveness, the scale, and the flexibility to support everything from simple utility monitoring to much more advanced equipment level insights. All this rolls up into better building efficiency and reliability, fewer surprises, less wasted energy and water, and much clearer visibility into what's going on across the portfolio. So the story on the software side is Aqueduct takes a ton of noisy, low-level IoT data and turns it into very specific, practical actions you can take to protect equipment, reduce waste, and run the facilities better overall. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we can walk through the Aqueduct platform for a short demo here. Okay, hopefully you all can see my screen. What you should be seeing is our global landing page. So we use a spatial map-based view with a simple stoplight behavior. So you can see at a glance which sites are healthy, which are in warning, and which are in alert state. Each dot here is a live site with real-time data behind it. So this becomes an operational picture for your portfolio. And because Aqueduct is built in a native way from the ground up for AI, I don't actually have to mouse over or click down into every site to get a picture of what's going on. I can make a simple natural language query, something like, which sites require my attention? And of course, this is an account that has about 50 sites set up in it. Of course, as you scale to more than hundreds, thousands of sites, it becomes much more important to be able to see all this data just at a glance. We can see here that OHF1 is experiencing a high CO2 alert in the loading area. This is one of our pilot customers that has so graciously allowed us to share their anonymized data for this demo. Clicking down into the site level view, we can see the map again, but the map becomes a floor plan, which is essential to doing these hardware deployments, but also visualizing the data for air quality, which is what's being measured at this site in particular. And again, rather than mousing over each individual device to get the offending metric or clicking down to find out different metrics over time, I can actually just make another natural language query here and say, give me a detailed air quality report for this site. And what I want to get across here is we're not just surfacing all the data in real time, pulling it into our AI engine and summarizing those values for you. Of course, we're doing that, and that saves a lot of time rather than clicking down, as I mentioned. But we're actually filtering this information through our knowledge base so that we can actually understand the significance of these levels. As I mentioned, our team has immeasurable experience across the IoT different sectors within IoT, in fact. And so we know a thing or two about CO2 levels, about water consumption patterns, et cetera. And so rather than just saying, okay, these are the real-time values, we're able to give you actionable information and summaries so that you can know the significance and what to actually do about these different levels. So like I said, you could already go and take actions based on the different things that we've surfaced here. But for additional information, let's click down into one of these sensors and see what's going on over time. So we're going to select CO2 and ozone. Let's throw in carbon monoxide to get a more full picture of what these different signals are doing and how they're correlated over time. We can see here that earlier in the week, it dropped down quite a bit, and it's been consistently high since. Perhaps something like particulate matter could help us to tell a story about what's going on at this site. Perhaps there's some processing of stone, which in fact is what's going on at this warehouse, a bit of context and background. It doesn't seem to be related to any of that processing, however, because the particulate matter is down despite the high levels of CO2. So we can line up CO2, carbon monoxide, other IAQ signals to easily correlate patterns with what's actually happening on the ground. This is the kind of view you can export, share, hand off directly to the warehouse managers and safety teams so that they're not guessing. They have a clear history as to what the workers are actually breathing during a shift. You might already have hardware alarms for acute safety thresholds, but those don't tell you what people are actually spending hours consistently breathing, potentially unhealthy air. Aqueduct fills that gap by making these trends obvious and turning them into actionable information, not just one-off alerts. So another use case that we're going to talk about today and that I kind of alluded to earlier are water leaks. This is an example of an email that you might get from Aqueduct, generated off of a single main meter, a single water main, that is. The analytics have detected a baseline flow that never drops back to its normal expected levels, which strongly suggests that there's a lower level leak or fixture that's stuck on. The email doesn't just say something is wrong. It gives us a single team, it gives a team at a specific location, the meter involved, and a simple checklist of things to go and inspect. That means that an ops or warehouse manager can immediately go check toilets, valves, or equipment and turn a subtle, invisible issue into a quick fix before it turns into further waste. So as I mentioned, this has already indicated where the meter is within a given site. And in the interest of time, I've navigated down to the events view for this particular water meter. We can see that the event happened on the 9th of about midday. And so clicking over to the water meter tab, we'll see that that real-time usage over time for the particular day that we were just highlighting. And indeed, we can see that this real-time usage is showing a small consumption even in the middle of the night, which is highly unusual for a site of this type. So what we can also do is say, jump out to a few days beforehand to see what this looked like over the weekend or over the days before. And you can see that there's this pattern that goes up in the middle of the day, as you might expect, but it never really drops to zero. So with this additional information, the on-site team can follow up with that guidance. They did follow up with that guidance, went to the building, eventually traced it down to a commercial toilet that was quietly running nonstop. What we're seeing here is a time series, in the time series, is that the baseline flow continuing even overnight when there should be zero usage. That's exactly the type of pattern that you will never catch from monthly bill, but it's caught immediately with our real-time analytics and surfaced into a notification with clear actionable steps. By surfacing this and making the next steps crystal clear, Aqueduct has turned an invisible issue into a quick fix, avoiding thousands of gallons of wasted water, potentially thousands of dollars over time, just for one low-level fault. And indeed, if I zoom out, say another day, we'll see that that has dropped down to the normal expected levels. Okay, so bringing things full circle, I want to navigate back to our OHF1 site, and we can talk about our hardware. It shows how gateways and end devices are connected across the floor plan and how that connectivity behaves over time. You can see here now, mousing over a given gateway, that oddly, a lot of the devices on one side of the warehouse are connected to the gateway that's on the other side. Mousing over one of these connection lines, we can actually see that their RSSI is negative 48 dBm. And for a LoRaWAN device, that's actually pretty exceptional connectivity, which would explain why these gateways are able to connect to devices on the opposite side of the warehouse. And so what we have in this situation is full redundancy. We use this both to plan deployments up front and to verify that everything is performing the way that it should after an installation. So we get it right the first time and keep it healthy. This is what underpins everything you've just seen. Solid hardware design, validated coverage, reliable telemetry feeding into Aqueduct and AWS. It's an end-to-end loop, from devices in the field to real-time analytics to concrete actions the operations team can take on the ground. So that's just a real quick rundown of the Aqueduct product and a few of the different high-level basic features that we offer. Of course, there's much more complicated analytics that we can talk about. If you're interested, we can schedule a strategy session and understand your use case in more detail and recommend all sorts of different solutions and demos. So I'll leave it there and hand things back over for the presentation.
Thank you, Quay. Go back and share my screen here. So we're going to jump into the Q&A session now, and what we'll do is we'll open it up to the audience for any questions that you might have of any of our speakers, any folks from Milvian that are here. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I'm going to open up the chat here, and please feel free to either raise your hand if you want to ask a question, or if you prefer to use the chat, please send us a chat message and we'll be glad to call. So open it up to anybody on the call here. Don't be shy, everybody. No questions? Everybody's quiet here. Here we go. We got a first question. Question from Jonah. What's a good interactive chat example that does more than identifying present threshold violations for IoT sensors? Who wants to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, I can jump in here. So something that we're working on right now is understanding, surfacing those analytics patterns over time. So, you might ask, not just what has violated this threshold in the past X, Y, Z days, but how does this site compare to another site in its historical usage of water, electric, gas, given, of course, different factors like the square footage of the site. And you can hopefully in the future also working on the ability to input things like your productivity. So if you produce this many widgets from a particular warehouse, I'm getting ahead of myself. Point is, you might want to not just look at how many times has this thing violated this threshold, but how does it compare to this other site, which is very similar in nature, so that you can evaluate the performance between different sites without custom dashboards or purpose-built dashboards to compare those.
Thank you, Jonah, for your question. Any other questions from anyone in the audience?
I can launch into that a little bit more, give a bit more detail if we want while we wait for an additional question. I'll say a little bit about kind of our AI strategy and the way that we see some of these queries. I think those of you who have experience in the IoT industry over time, you'll have the experience of having created a bunch of these dashboards, which were helpful at one point in time, but then now you have just this big list of them. You try to put them into folders. What we're hoping to do with AI is to eliminate that big mess and hopefully provide a single source of truth layered with AI so that you can see these actionable insights, not just more and more and more charts, which eventually outrun your ability to even read them. And so that's just a little bit more, I guess I'd say, in the background and how we see this.
Here we go. We got somebody. Okay. Anyone
Thank
else
you.
with, go ahead.
I'm wondering if you're seeing the same levels of acceptance on your AI solutions for your customers across the board, inside or outside of the US similarly. I'm wondering what the customer maturity is across multiple of the markets that you're in.
Who wants to take that one? Wei, Myron, either one of you want to grab that one? You're on mute.
I'll jump in, Scott. This is
Sure.
this is James Faircloth, VP of Sales. So I think it's that's a very nuanced question and answer. I think that as an example, we've had some customers that have said that they don't want that AI agent. We've had some other customers that have said that they're not allowed to use AI within their company. Their government entities and things like that have not given their employees access to those tools. So, but the good news is that we are using AWS's stack for the Gen AI portion of this, and all of the data is segregated to the customer. It's siloed. It's completely private to their instance. So, there's no concern about sharing that data across customers or across accounts. It is siloed to each of those customers. So, we understand Gen AI is a brave new world. Lots of folks have concerns about that. We're happy to work with you and to work with AWS to address any of those questions or concerns that they may have about AI.
Thank you, James. I
Right.
appreciate it, and congratulations on all the great work you guys are doing.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Thank you for the question. We have another question that came in the chat from Eric. Can you bring some examples of IoT applications you have implemented direct in equipment? What are the main financial gains?
So James, do you want to take that one as well?
Sure. So one of the use cases that we see a lot have to do with the main energy consumers that you have in any of these large facilities, which would be things like HVAC or your refrigeration systems. So, those compressors and motors on those units really do pull a lot of energy. And so one of the things that we've worked on with a few customers in the past is to harmonize the refrigeration units, as an example, in some of these very large walk-in freezers where, you may have one unit that's trying to defrost while another one is working extra hard because it senses that the temperature inside the freezer is too warm. It's because the other motor's defrosting. So what happens is that other motor never gets to defrost, and you end up almost in a battle with both of those units. And what ends up happening is you're just using a lot of extra energy rather than harmonizing those units and making sure that they're aware of what's going on. So we've got several sensors that we can use to help you be more aware of what your HVAC systems are doing, how they're working together. We can harmonize those with air quality sensors inside of the building to make sure that your CO2 levels are staying at an acceptable level. We can do things like pair a motion and sound sensor with a water sensor to understand that you have a leak in a bathroom so that we can help you pinpoint points of problems within your building much quicker. But I think the biggest opportunity for most facilities is really to focus on, again, that largest consumer of energy, which generally is the HVAC system, to make sure that those systems are running in an optimal fashion, to make sure you're only cooling the building when people are there. You're keeping the CO2 levels at a healthy level so that your workforce is more productive. Things like that are certainly use cases that we see quite often.
Thank you, James, for that. We have another question. We actually have 4 questions in one from Garrett. So I'll read them one at a time and let you guys pick them off here. So the first part of his question is, are any devices being monitored that are not on a Wi-Fi network?
So I'll go ahead and I'll just speak to the question, Scott. So so we don't really have sensors directly on Wi-Fi, but we do have gateways and controllers on Wi-Fi. For the sensors, we typically are using LoRaWAN wherever we can, wherever it makes sense, because then it is a wireless technology, so we can have clean placement. We can put it in creative places like on dock doors. We don't have to run wires to them to, the expense of running the wire plus the maintenance of keeping that wire connected. We do have the maintenance of keeping the batteries charged, but all of our sensors tell us what the battery is in the platform so we can predict and replace the batteries before they actually run out. But it's mostly the bigger devices that are using Wi-Fi. So does that answer your Wi-Fi question?
Yep,
Okay.
he says yes. Second one is, how do you tackle getting the data into the platform, into Aqueduct?
Yeah, so our AWS friends, they'll love this question and answer. We have 2 primary forms of getting data into the platform. One is through the AWS IoT Core LP WAN service, which is LoRaWAN. They have a LNS server and app server running. That's a fully managed service, so we don't have to have any EC2 instances or anything like that running in the cloud. We just have a fully managed service, and we just connect it to an API, and we just call APIs. So it's very clean. That's the LoRaWAN side of it. But also we have other devices like controllers that have to send data more frequently than LoRaWAN can support. Those would be just going directly to IoT Core over an MQTT connection. And again, it's a fully managed service. We don't run any C2 instances. It's a modern platform. So we just have to make sure that we have a certificate on that device that can connect to IoT Core. And we have some level of connectivity, whether it's Wi-Fi or Ethernet or LTE. We support all those in our gateways, and a lot of the devices can support any of those as well. So that's typically those 2 paths, either through the LP WAN IoT Core service or just a straight IoT Core with an MQTT broker. Does that answer your question?
Yep, said yes. Okay, and then the last one is for metering. Do you have issues getting to subterranean meters that are not adjacent to network connections?
Yeah, that's why we really focused on LoRaWAN. LoRaWAN is an amazing technology. We've had really great luck with getting it from remote locations into buildings. And we also started deploying LTE gateways. So between the LoRaWAN and an LTE gateway, we can provide really good coverage to almost anywhere at this point. So we've had really good success with that.
Thank you, Byron.
LoRaWAN's just been amazing.
Yep, he said thank you, Byron. Sounds good job there. Okay, we have time for probably 1, maybe 2 more questions from the audience. Anyone else want to ask anything from our experts here? Here comes another question. Are there any data engineering problems you face today that may block your AI initiatives?
Sounds like a Quay question.
Yeah. Well, so we're constantly improving, I would say, our AI capabilities on the platform. What you saw today are somewhat straightforward, basic examples of use cases. Of course, as we expand the different tools that are available to our AI agent, for example, the context window becomes a real issue. So we're constantly following up on the cutting edge in terms of what the agentic frameworks and context management are, because you can really only consider so much data at once. And so, context management, I would say, and the way that you present that to the user, for the most technical user to the least technical user, because the most technical user might be able to understand something like the context window, and that you've pulled up 10,000 flow values across all of these different warehouses for water, for instance. Whereas a less sophisticated user might say, okay, well, I just want to know the big picture, and why can't you answer this question? Anybody that's a power user for AI will know that you might have a very long running chat, and it might have all sorts of different information as far as air quality and water and all these different things. And you actually really do need to make a new chat to get the most out of the AI recommendations, the intelligence on top of it. So I'll try to cut things short there. I could kind of rabbit hole on it, but that's definitely something we're constantly watching, is the issue of context management and how it affects the ability to give quality recommendations in those long running chats with different customers without requiring them to have the knowledge of how to not manage the context window, for example.
Thank you, Quay.
But yeah, Kishore, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, just adding on to that one, addressing the problem that, data engineering problems. Answer is no, thanks to AWS capabilities, whether it is a streaming data, whether it is getting the data in big volumes or low volumes at regular intervals, we don't have any data engineering problems at this point in time.
And
that's
Quay,
a great call out.
I was gonna say, Quay, you got a standing ovation here. You got the double clap here from the customer. Just wanted to pat that out. So good job, my friend. Okay,
awesome.
last question.
Well, yeah, Kishore makes a great point. I would like to follow up on that a little bit and really speak to how much AWS really helps us to solve these problems as they arise. We're keeping up with the latest information in the AI world, and constantly following up and improving our product. And really, AWS helps us to do that. With the example that I just gave around context management, their agent core service, for example, has been a godsend for having a good agentic framework that works out of the box. And so, yeah, that's a great point.
Okay, last question of the day. Can you add data from existing on-premise SCADA or BAS/BMS network through Modbus or BACnet? If so, what does the integration exercise look like?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take that one. So the short answer is yes. For Modbus, we have bridges that connect to LoRaWAN, so we can have actually Modbus devices over LoRaWAN. We also have controllers that can connect over LoRaWAN to either BACnet or these other technologies. But in addition, that controller can connect either through LoRaWAN or it can connect directly to IoT Core. Just depends on the exact use case and situation. But generally, we try to terminate the BACnet or terminate the Modbus at that controller, and then from there we translate everything to MQTT, and then that's where we do the integration, is in that device, and then we send the MQTT up to the cloud. And then we're using device shadows and things like that with IoT Core to represent that in a generic JSON format, and then we do those translations in those controllers and those local devices for those purposes. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Jonah, for asking the question, and thank you, Myron, for the response.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
I think that'll conclude our Q&A session. We're going to go back to our agenda here, and we'll do the wrap-up session here. So we're down to closing remarks and key takeaways. So our team put together some key takeaways here. You can see that what AWS, the value of working with our partners, that they have their specialists. We can do deep dives, immersive days, etc. We can work with AWS partners to build and deploy end-to-end solutions. They work with us as an example. From a Milvian perspective, we have that seamless device to cloud integration, powering those real-time insights that we talked about across our global facilities. We have our AI native analytics obviously that transforms sensor data into operational actions. We have validated deployments, ensuring reliable data pipelines for any IoT use case. We have scalable architecture ready to support your expanding portfolios, and we have a variety of new sensor types and actionable outcomes that improve safety, reduce waste, and lower operating costs. So these are the key points that we would like you to walk away with today from our presentation. And with that, we'd like to thank you for joining us today. And if you're ready to elevate your organization's performance, please reach out to us. We have a great team here between AWS and our Milvian. You can see all the experience that all of our team has brought. Thank you for all the claps here. Appreciate all of that positive feedback. We're going to offer you a free consultation. So anyone that would like to take us up on this, that would like to chat with us, have us come in and meet with you, discuss what your needs are and see how we could help you. We'd love to do that. And we'll also be giving everyone a full recording of today's webinar. We'll send that out after the webinar, so y'all have that to reference at your leisure. So with that, again, I'd like to personally thank you on behalf of Milvian and AWS for attending our webinar event today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I think it looks like you have, because there's been a ton of hearts and claps going on, and I truly appreciate and thank you all personally, again, on behalf of AWS and the Milvian Group, for joining us. And again, you can check us out, our webpage here. You can scan this. We're on LinkedIn, we're on X. Please email us, and I wish you a great rest of your week. And again, thank you very much and have a great day. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Scott. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.